It's called The Big Uneasy because it's a switch on the nickname of New Orleans, which is the Big Easy, and it's the Big Uneasy because the film is about two people who investigated the actual cause of the flooding of the city in 2005, what most people refer to as Katrina, and a third person, a whistleblower from inside the agency that built the so-called hurricane protection system, which failed catastrophically in 2005, who was involved in the new improved system and raises very disturbing questions about how well that system will work at a time of a hurricane. So it's about these three people. It's about the shadow that New Orleans lives under as it rebuilds from a catastrophic disaster. And it's about the threat that this same agency, which almost destroyed New Orleans, poses to the more than 100 other American cities that it purports to protect. I'm a part-time adopted New Orleanian. I adore the city. I was getting madder and madder at the failure of the American media to pay attention to these investigations as their findings were becoming public. The American news media basically packed up and left long before the water was even drained from the city. We got our story, big flood, city below sea level. Thank you, next, move on. And never bothered to go back and say, you know, remember all those images we showed you of people suffering? We never bothered to tell you why the thing happened that made them suffer, so here it is. And I just got so angry that they failed to do that, that finally, when President Obama came to New Orleans and called it a natural disaster, I hit the ceiling and just thought, somebody in this room has got to make a documentary about this, and since I was alone, I was nominated. The whistleblower in the film has, I think, become emboldened and empowered after 4 years of being marginalized and shunned by her fellow employees of this agency. She is a whistleblower, so she can't be fired, but she can certainly be put in a corner, and she's, I think, now feeling much stronger, and so she's just written what will soon be a public letter to the president with a very detailed explication of her allegations, which have been vetted and supported by an agency of the government. So I think in her case, she's really been strengthened by the experience. Aside from that, people in New Orleans for whom the film was not made, I assumed that people in New Orleans really knew most of this story, although they hadn't seen the whistleblower on film. Really would not stop the film from being shown in the city. I mean, they kept insisting that it continue to run, and have been, I think, startled by the fact that stuff that they knew kind of on a day-to-day basis has been assembled into this hour and a half, and it's sort of hit them kind of hard. What I hope happens is that finally, after 5 years, Americans really learn that it was their tax money that paid to almost destroy a great American city, and more of their tax money is being paid to maybe make the same mistake again. And I would hope that among the Americans who make that realization is the guy in the White House.